So at first, please introduce yourself for the audience first. Please,
All
Byrd.
right.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Byrd. I've been called Byrd my whole life, and it is my family name. I am the vocal chair emeritus at Musicians Institute. That means that I was vocal chair for 8 years, and I am an instructor now at Musicians Institute in the vocal program. And a little bit about myself. In addition to currently being at Musicians Institute, I am also currently a vocal coach on the NBC TV show, The Voice. I've been on that television show for 8 years, and I really enjoy helping singers achieve their goals. Before that, I was a head vocal coach on the television show American Idol. And I was there for 10 and a half years. And I'm so honored to even be able to say humbly and gratefully that I coached Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood and Adam Lambert and Jennifer Hudson, who are international stars. I'm quite grateful for that. And in addition to being a vocal coach, I had never planned to be a vocal coach. As a performer, I have toured the planet with various rock bands. I've toured the planet with American artist Barry Manilow, doing vocal arrangements with him and for him, and performing on stage and recording duets with him. I also toured with Bob Dylan. I recorded duets with him. I toured with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I've toured with a lot of people, Roberta Flack, and I love my music life. In addition to touring in bands, and I'm a recording artist. I forgot. Being a recording as part of a female group, as part of a trio named Lady Flash. Also, I've done 5 Broadway shows as a solo performer, and I love doing Broadway shows. They're very, very hard to do physically and vocally. You do 8 shows a week, and that's a lot. That's very hard physically. Of the 5 shows that I've done, and I've done numerous off-Broadway shows, but the hardest one I did were Broadway shows are 2 hours long, and I was the only singer in the show. The rest was spoken word and dancing. So I had to pull that grind for 2 hours, and it really gave me a lot of muscle to sing for 2 hours for month after month after month after month. It's quite a job. And that's the thing about singing that I learned through my music career, is that you have to be physically fit and learn how to take care of your body, because singing is an athletic event. It's like a sport, and you have to be in top shape to do it well and to have a career and to consistently do it. I began singing when I was 12 years old. I began voice lessons at 12 years old. And it gave me a fearlessness, having vocal lessons, teaching me about my instrument, and singing in Italian, French, and German. It gave me a great confidence that spilled over into my teenage years and into my adult years going to university. So that's a little bit about me. And I also coach for the U.S. Army. It keeps going. Every time. Oh yeah, I did that too. Being a vocal coach for the United States Army, what is that about? So you'd be surprised where your music talent takes you. A door will open, and your gift allows you to walk through that door. So that's why I like to encourage singers, because you never know which way the blessing is coming. It can come from the north, south, east, or west. Okay, so that's enough about me. It's Priscilla's.
Thank you. Priscilla, how about you?
好，那我就讲国语。
可以，
可以了。OK， 好。首先，很感谢 Emma， 也很感谢 Thank you Byrd， 还感谢 Tank 来邀请我来到这个 round table。然后，因为我 我现在是在 LA， 在 Los Angeles。我是一位歌手，有现场的表演，有 recording， 然后我也是一位歌唱老师，以及我也是位键盘手。然后这种种的一切，我必须要说，就非常谢谢我在 MI 的日子，然后教会了我很多很多。那其实我是2017年在 MI 的 vocal performance program graduate 的，然后之后呢，我决定留在 LA， 因为 LA 它是基本上是流行音乐的生产的一个最热门的地方，所以我想要留在这里，就算呼吸同一样的空气，我觉得是很好的。然后我其实在来 MI 之前，我有一些表演的经验，我是在 Theater and Art 出身的，所以对于演音乐剧，然后刚刚 Byrd 有讲到 Broadway shows 这些我都有一些经验。然后我也在一个台湾的 cover band 也工作了很多年，也一起 tour 很多年。那对我而言，可能待会我们会分享到，就是可是那个也是一个转捩点，为什么我会选择来到 MI？ 因为我觉得那时候的我还不足够成为一个我觉得心目当中很成功的vocalist， 是一个歌手，很全面的，所以我选择来到 MI。所以我现在还是在 Los Angeles， 然后基本上大家可能都有听到过，美国去年是疫情，所以很多现场的表演都暂停了。我觉得我还是很骄傲的说，我还是可以有房租付，有工作可以做，是因为在 MI 我学到很多东西，所以足够支撑我现在成为歌唱老师。那在去年的疫情当中，我还是有在持续的教课，以及我有一些recording session 是录合音的，那些也帮了我很多。所以尽管是一个 pandemic year， 但是因为我在 MI 所学到的，让我还是可以持续有工作，所以我真的非常感谢。
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go for the next one. Second question is, could you please introduce your program, like the courses, facilities, and other things? Byrd.
So, the vocal program is really a wonderful place for singers to grow. You have what we call our core classes, where you learned how to read music. We call it sight singing. You have vocal technique classes, where you learn how to take care of your voice, we have the only instrument that you can't touch or see. So you have to learn what's going on here, how it affects your body, and how to become friends with what's going on vocally. That's what the vocal technique classes teach you. The third core class that you get is vocal performance, learning how to perform and be comfortable. A lot of people are shy. They have a preconceived notion of how they should perform. We teach you how to perform with a band. We teach you how to count in a band, how to really pay attention to what other musicians are doing around you. Even though you're standing in front and singing, you learn what the other person's role is. You learn how to slow down a band, how to start a band, how to stop a band. The thing I love about the courses is that they all work together, and that you will learn in your ebook, your textbook, how the sight singing and the vocal technique and the vocal performance all dovetail and work together. Those are our core classes, and we have a lot of electives as well, which are genre specific. What I mean by the electives, you may want to take a course in R&B singing. You may want to take a course in rap techniques, teaching you how to rap, teaching you jazz, teaching you how to do rock. We also have heavy metal, one of my favorites. We have metal classes as well, blues classes, teaching genre specific so that you can really have a sense of American music, because as a global entity, we have spread and we're so around the entire planet, and people want to sing the styles that have come from America, from the United States. So at Musicians Institute, you can check on any style that you like in the electives, in the LPWs. LPWs are called live performance workshops. We go even further. You can come together with other musicians with the bassist, a keyboard player, a drummer, and a guitarist. And as a vocalist, the students all work together on a song of the week. And you can go to one LPW, say at 2:00 and do a blues song, or you can go to another LPW and do K-pop, or you can do a punk LPW. You can do all kinds of rock. We have Billboard Hot 100, and those are the songs that are currently on the charts. You can do neo soul. You name it, we've got it there in an LPW if it's not in an elective as well. I'm very proud of the courses that I have created. I created a vocal looping course. Are you familiar with the British artist Ed Sheeran? You'll see Ed Sheeran with his guitar, and he will loop his vocal in live performance, and he harmonizes with himself instantly. And he can loop, and he can create an octave to his voice, either up the scale or an octave down, and perform that whole song that way. I'm very happy that from a marketing standpoint, MI partnered with the company TC Helicon, and they gave our college looping and FX machines, so that's a class, learning how to loop your voice. I also do an audition LPW, because a lot of times for vocalists, to get a job, you have to audition. Most singers don't know how to audition because you have to audition in so many different ways. A Broadway show audition is not like auditioning for a band. They're totally different, or auditioning for a television show, or auditioning just to sing at the corner at a coffee shop, at a coffee house. All of these jobs are different, and they require different methods of auditioning to get the job. We talk about how to audition well, because that's how you get your job, is auditioning well. And I'm very honored to say that I have also been part of the casting process on the television show American Idol, and as a casting person on the television show The Voice. So I've got a lot of insight and a lot of information. Oh, and also for Broadway shows. I've done casting for Broadway shows as well, and for bands. So I've got this great perspective on what a vocalist must have and create in order to go to the next level in creating a career for themselves in music. I also created a class that I'm very proud of. It's a voiceover class, doing voiceovers, whether it's for animation, because I love cartoons, and animation, or also for television commercials as well. Also for documentaries. We have sound-alikes. In the States, we have something that's called sound-alikes, where you're hired to sound like a celebrity. And I've done sound-alike. One of my favorite sound-alikes is for the American actress Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is one of the lowest speaking women on the planet. So her vocal is way down here when she speaks constantly. Everything she does is down here. And it's very hard to get down there, and I've had my voice on movies, and it's so exciting to me to make a living using my voice. That's what I like for us, the instructors at MI, to give singers, is how to make a living doing your voice, using your voice, because everybody wants a record deal. People want to be famous, and it's not going to happen for everyone. But what MI will give you is how to make a living using your voice. We have vocal labs on campus. And since the pandemic is on its way down, everything is opening up. And Priscilla can answer some of those things that are on campus that she has had uses that she has used and has had access to. And from her standpoint, she could give you a lot of information in that regard.
Thank you.
And Priscilla, I'm sorry, Tank, I would love if Priscilla can speak some English, because I don't want to duplicate what she's saying.
No problem. Yeah.
I will. Thank you for as you were speaking, you just brought back so much wonderful memories of me going back to school. So I think when as Byrd was talking about the courses and this how how some of the really special points about these courses. So I actually did a lot of the study before I came to MI, and I actually looked at the courses and I did my homework and said, this is what I want. So as I was telling everyone, I was performing at Taiwan. I was performing in Taiwan, and I had some musical theater background and also touring with production houses. But I just felt I wanted to be better, and I did not feel so confident inside. First of all, I didn't read music before I came here, and everyone else did, but they all came from either classical music, right? And I didn't have that background, but I worked hard for myself to get to almost the same role, but I didn't read music. So that really bothered me a lot. the fact that I didn't, it's like how to speak English without knowing grammar or learning it in a school, in a classroom. So I thought I can't do that forever. I have to become better. So I said, I'm going to stop doing performing, and I'm gonna choose a school in college and come. And everyone thought it was crazy. It's like, why don't you just keep on doing what you're doing? But I wanted to be doing this for my entire whole life. Just like Byrd said, I want to make a living out of my voice. I don't want to just do it when I'm, from 20 to 30. I want to keep on going. So that's why I chose MI. And then I love the courses. And as Byrd was saying, vocal labs, those are my home. I spend so much time in the vocal lab because there's a lot of all the performance classes. You can see all the charts there, and you can see other classes charts there. So if I like a song from the bachelor class, I can actually print out and download and learn on my own, and maybe go to open counseling, ask one teacher for any advice. So I love hanging out at the vocal labs. And also the vocal labs, you can meet so many new friends. You can actually form a band, and then if you walk down the hallway, you just hear their beautiful voices. Sometimes I'm there studying and be like, who's there singing? I really like your voice. And I'll knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Priscilla. How are you doing? Where you come from? You meet so many. It's so interesting to be able to meet these students from around the world and be able to at the same place, and you're studying something that you love and you can share. And sometimes you write with each other, you collaborate. And we have this class called Vocal Ensemble, where we actually would be, it's kind of like a choir experience, but it's much harder. So we would be in soprano, second soprano, we'll be in alto, we'll be in baritone bass. And it's so wonderful to hear all these voices and how they harmonize together. And that was a great experience because, as I was saying, I just sang as a cover band singer and also as a musical theater actress. I didn't have that experience being together with other voices and how you work with each other. So that really gave me a lot of great experience, and that's how I can do some of my background vocal recording work now. It's because those classes. And I, especially as the LPWs, oh my gosh, like, I think we're required to take 10, right? I probably took 10 of like 1 week and the rest it was just like, let's do more, because it was just so much fun. It was so much fun. Before I came to MI, I did not even know what blues song is. So the first time I sent to blues LPW, I was kind of like, so what am I singing? Do I just sing out the lyrics? They're like, no, well, it's like, you can take it freely, sing freely. But as Asian, or I'm Chinese, right? We're much more like, I guess, shy. I'm shy. So we don't really want to go do the riffs or run. We just want to sing out the lyrics. Like, give me the lyrics. I just sing out the song. So it was so interesting going to the blues LPW, and the instructor would say, just let go of what you're thinking in your mind. Just tell the story. And I was like, tell the story. How? It was just so brand new to me. And at the end of my stay before I graduated from MI, so blues LPW became my favorite. I always go there every week, and just to listen to other students play blues. I think listening to guitarists and drummer just playing that, you get to know this music much more than just being a singer. You have to know everything in a song. So that really gave me a whole new perspective. And I must mention another class that I thought one of my favorite electives was Byrd's vocal creativity class. That really was so challenging to me. Yeah, we can talk about that in one of my favorite classes. I'm saving that for that question. But it was so wonderful. There are so many electives that me and other of my classmates were all like, let's take like a lot of electives if we have the time, right? But we can't because you have to study your core classes as well. So my other favorite are music theory classes. So that's one of the reason why I want to come to MI is because I didn't read music, and music theory class was like my backbone now. It's like when I say when I talk to singers about music theory, everyone's like, whoa. It's kind of like you get this like, oh, she's cool, kind of like a sense of that. So that's why I want to come. So I was like really happy when I got that kind of response from other singers or casting directors that, wow, you actually know and read music. Yeah.
Okay.
Something Priscilla just said, I want to add on to reading music. It gives you a leg up over everybody. And it's very respected of you as a singer if you can read music. Because there's an American expression, singers are a dime a dozen. And people, you can walk out on the street and people sing very, very well. They really do. But do they read music? No, they don't. And that's a big deal all across the board, no matter what type of music you're doing. If you can read music, you are valuable, you're golden. So, and I know I've gotten jobs only because I can read music. I worked on the television show, The Oscars. It's an awards show where they award the songs that were in movies. And I got the call. I've worked for years on that show because I can read music. And literally, I've sung with John Legend, Lady Gaga. I've sung on movies just because I can read, and they don't even doubt. It's like, oh, okay. They don't even audition. It's like, oh, you're a soprano? Okay, go stand over there. Here's your music. Okay, you're what? Oh, you're an alto, go stand over there. And they give you the music on the spot and have you read it on the spot. It's not like you get it and go home and come back. You do it immediately, and you are highly respected because you can read music. Okay, I had to say that. I had to throw that in.
Thank you. Let's go for the next one. Is which course is your favorite at MI? Byrd?
Oh, I want Priscilla to go because we have the same answer, and I'd like it from the student's perspective.
Got it. So Priscilla?
Okay. I wrote down a bunch of lists, but there's no time for me to name them all. So I will go for some of my favorite. As I mentioned, ear training and music theory, those are such difficult classes. Those classes are academically, they're harder for me, but I love those, right? And so one of my really favorite class, this is really interesting, it was DJ. So MI also offers an elective that I could take as a DJ class. Why I said that, even though I got, I think, a C+, and I barely passed that class, but it made me appreciate all different aspects of music. I used to think DJ was just playing CDs, and ladies and gentlemen, it's not. It's so much more than you have to listen and read music to be able to become a really good DJ, and your rhythm have to be so precise. So that made me really appreciate so many aspects of music and being able to get just a little bit of experience, because I don't think I'll ever become a professional DJ, but just be able to respect others in this profession, I think will get you far. And also I think vocal creativity class, I must tell everyone about that class. So that's a class I think we have to we have to pick one song, and this song will be kind of like rearranged into another style. Say you have a pop song and you do it in a jazz style, you have a blues song and you do it in more like an R&B style. And not just so you bring a demo, you have to bring charts. So that part really was very difficult because usually singers either don't read charts or don't care about charts. And just like, I'm here to sing, just here with my mic and my water bottle, I'm here to sing. But being able to bring out the charts and communicate with the band. So that was one of my fears. It's how do I communicate with them? I feel like they know so much more than I do. So I have to really step up to be able to communicate with them. When do I come in? What's my count? What's the speed I want for the song? At first I was like, I don't know, you pick a speed. They're like, what? But you're selling the boat. You can't tell us to pick a speed. So that really, really helped me. I love the vocal ensemble classes. It was a great way to open my ears and use all the ear training and theory into the vocal ensemble classes. I love all the private lessons. I think we will mention that later in some of the questions, because I get to work so closely with some of my most respected teachers, and it was just so fun to be able to learn all their strengths. And to get aspect of how my singing or how I'm as a performer in front of them. It was just great. So, and also project recording. Oh my God, I love project recording. Even though I recorded songs before, but to go through a 12-week, just so precise, and you learn everything about how to record. So these techniques I really use like almost daily now. So for example, you don't ever record it with both of your headphones really loud and close all your ears, right? You open a little bit so that your pitch is right. And that I realized that not all singers know that. And when I do that, the producers will be like, wow, she knows what she's doing. So that really, really, just like what Byrd said, will really give you put you into a more respectful vocalist out there when you go in the industry and meet with these real people and the real gigs out there. So these are some of my favorite. I can go on.
Okay, thank you. So let's go for the next one. So the next question is, why did you choose MI? Byrd?
Why did I choose MI?
Yeah, this.
What an interesting question. I chose MI because I was offered the chair job at Berklee College in Boston. And I was very honored that they asked me, because I have been artist in residence at Berklee College in Boston and for years. And they asked me to chair their vocal program. And I was so honored. And I said no. I said no because, number one, I live in California. Number two, there's snow in Boston. And I did not want to be in the snow. And when I say snow, I mean snow up to above your knees kind of snow. And I come from snow. As a child, I was brought up in Ohio. So I've had my fill of snow. I like to go visit it and walk away. So that's being on tour. After being honored about being chosen by Berklee, I said, well, let me find out what's available to me in Los Angeles, because that's where I live. And I began backtracking to those other colleges where I had done master classes. I checked out USC. I checked out UCLA, because I've done master classes there. And I've also done master classes at Musicians Institute. Musicians Institute had the right vibe for me. At the time, USC just started their contemporary music program. They didn't have one. They have this great Thornton School of Music, which is jazz. And I was like, that's nice. I don't want to do that. Okay. Then with UCLA, they have they're theater-based. And I said, I've done 5 Broadway shows. Thank you very much. And a gazillion off-Broadway shows. So I'm good. I've put in my time on theater. The thing I liked about Musicians Institute is because with it teaching contemporary music, that's the music that touches my heart. As chair, after I was chosen and hired to be the chair of the vocal program, that's when I discovered that my favorite class to attend was the metal class. And there's something, and I've always had what I call a rock and roll heart, always. Even though, going back to the electives, we also have a gospel choir. We've got, and those are my roots as well. I've also got rock roots. And there's something about when I'm having a horrible day, I would go to the metal class and sit in the back, and I would just zen out. I don't know why, but I do. More so than any other class. That would be my favorite class, I guess, other than like vocal creativity that Priscilla just mentioned. And just to touch on vocal creativity, It's a class I created because it bothered me that singers did not know how to write a chart. That bothered me. And I think singers absolutely need to know how to, in addition to write a chart, how to interpret that chart. How to say, it's like Priscilla said, how to say, all right, I've got a 4-bar intro. I've got an 8-bar verse. Okay, I'm going to do 16 bars on the chorus. I've got a bridge, just how to speak to them. On the bridge, I would, now, also, in addition to the chart writing, thinking about the instrumentation. So on the bridge, I want all the instruments to drop out. I just want it to be bass and drums. Then I want everybody to come back in at the chorus. I wanted singers to learn how to think with an arranger's mind. That's why I would change the genre. For instance, there's the song I'm sure that everyone knows by Gnarls Barkley. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? I had that as an assignment. Do it as a jazz swing instead of an R&B song. And people will go, what? And you have to write the chart. Is it hard? Yes. It is very hard. And we would spend a lot of time making sure that the students understand what that means, because I want singers to learn how to think outside the box and listen, what I call listening inside the song. As a singer, you should know, what is the guitar doing? What is the bass doing? What are the drums doing? You should be able to open your ears up so that you're not just listening to the singer only, because that's what singers tend to do. They'll only listen to the vocalist on a track of their favorite song. They don't even listen to anything else. And I learned that when I was just a short story, I was on American Idol, and a young man came up to me, an excellent singer. He said, Byrd, I can't figure out how to get into my first line. I can't find the first line. And I said, well, in the intro, the strings are playing your exact melody line. And his response was, there's strings on this song. He never even heard the strings. That's what I need vocalists to learn, how to listen inside the song, because there are more things going on than you singing. That's not a big deal. And that's why I created that class as well, vocal creativity. I had one student called it vocal breakdown. He said, because every week he'd have a nervous breakdown, every week. But when you get on the other side of it, you are so much stronger as a musician, because that's what it's all about. It's not just about how well you sing. It's creating these classes, these courses, so that you can do this for the rest of your life when you're collecting a pension. You can go from that class to as an arranger and then do composition. You can work on movies. You can work on television, learn how to score. That's the ground level of learning how to do scores for musicals, for movies, for television. That's where my thoughts are in terms of what students get when they come to Musicians Institute. I'm glad you mentioned the project recording class, because it's one of my favorites as well. Because before the pandemic, the focus was on you in a recording studio and how you interact with the instruments that are being put on your track, in addition to you bringing background vocalists in. You can do a chart for your background vocalists to sing, or you can sing all the vocals yourself. With the pandemic, because of COVID-19 and everything is online, I changed the class so that it becomes a learning experience of how to work in your in-home recording studio. The equipment you need. How do you record your vocal? Whether it's you singing, if someone gives you a track, how do you put your vocal on top of that track? Or if you're doing a voiceover, how do I read the copy so that I can read what's needed for if I'm going to sell laundry detergent. So because of the COVID-19, we've had to alter some classes, and I'm looking forward to the campus opening up, because that means that every course begins to open up again as well. And that's why I chose MI.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How about you, Priscilla?
Wow. I think that the reasons I did mention in the previous questions was that I even though I was working as a full-time singer, I didn't feel like I really was good enough in that sense, because first of all, I didn't read music, I couldn't write a chart, and I wanted to come into a college where environment. So some people might say, well, why don't I just take private lessons in my hometown and I don't need to go to college. It's a big move, it's a big decision. But I wanted to really put myself into an environment where there's not just singers, there are actually other musicians out there, there are arrangers out there. I want to be able to connect and network and talk to them and talk the same language and just be able to know them. So another thing I really love about MI, one of the things is that the reputation. So I was at Taiwan, but even when I was serving as a worship leader at church, I could hear some of my other friends coming and say, oh, I went to a summer course at MI, and I was like, where's that? And then so the reputation is really, really well known in Asia. So and then I Google online and I said, wow, like look at all the Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube video of the instructors, and I was like, wow, I have to come here. And also another reason is that I feel like at MI, I didn't just become a better vocalist, but also, as Byrd said, a better musician. So it's because so for open counseling, right? I think I'm kind of crazy, but I would definitely want to visit not just vocal open counseling. If there's empty spaces, right? I like to hang out with bass teachers. I like to hang out with guitar teachers. There's so many questions and my curiosity that about this music world, how I can write my songs better, songwriting teachers or music business teachers, and how to promote my website. And all these are so important. And I want to be in an environment where all these are provided in the world-class level. So that's why I chose MI.
Thank you. So let's go move forward. So next one, what is your most impressive experience or memory at MI before, Byrd?
My most impressive experience and memory at MI, I would have to say, because there's so many, we have a venue that was built, and the venue is called Live House. Live House is, and I'm sure that at some point you'll be able to have the videos so that you can give a tour to your students of Live House. Live House is one of the buildings that we have where we do live performance as a stage, and that's where we had this wonderful opening with the guitarist Steve Vai, and it ran for like 2 days, a weekend. I think it was a 3-day marathon. And I watched all 3 days. I was literally watching it in my pajamas online and all night long. And when I woke up, it was still going on. When I went to bed, it was still going on. When they opened Live House, it's got state-of-the-art equipment. Videos are done there. They're the audio equipment because they do record things there. We have a smaller venue on the outside where you can bring your keyboard or your guitar and just sing in that open environment. It's got a coffee house set up where you can drink coffee, you can eat food, you can buy food, and you can just sit and chill. And I think that was very impressive to me, that Musicians Institute would have a venue like that so that people can come from everywhere and be invited and use it as a rehearsal space, use it as a performing space. And it's a beautiful venue. It's just gorgeous on the inside. And we have a lot of events that go on there. And before the shutdown, I had a vocal lab that had a vocal seminar that was going to be done with vocal teachers, vocal doctors, interchanging, and they were coming from around the planet to come to MI, but the pandemic shut all that down. So I think that really impressed me. One of the other impressive experiences I've had is also one that Priscilla mentioned. I would walk through the hallway and I would hear someone sing, and I was like, who is that? That's amazing. Going back to when I first came to MI, I was putting my car in the parking lot at like 8:30 in the morning, and someone was in the drum lab at 8:30 in the morning, just playing these amazing drums as I'm walking through the parking lot. And I had this, and it just livened everything in me. Just to hear a student practicing that early in the morning, going full out, because our facilities are open. when we open back up. They used to be open 24/7. Now there is a cutoff time, but you can go in and use the practice labs. And that was that impressed me, that as Priscilla said, everywhere you turn, there's music. Everywhere. It's thrilling. As a musician, it's very thrilling to walk through the hallway and you'll hear singing and you'll walk and then you'll hear somebody playing the keyboard. Then you'll walk and you'll hear somebody playing a guitar riff. Then you'll walk and you'll hear something that's been recorded. There's a joy that you can't speak of it because it's just so inside you and it just makes your heart smile. Also, something that impressed me was our library. The library at MI is a place where you can go find anything. You can use the computers. You can find music, just all sorts of things. There was a time before the shutdown when you could check out a guitar and bring it back. I mentioned the vocal looping class, the effects looping class. You could go and rent the effects box and use it and then bring it back. So many things that the library has that impressed me as well. And the fact that you can sit there with your headphones on and do whatever you need to do, whether it's work on your class, work on something, some theory, whatever it may be. That was also impressive for me.
Thank you. How about you, Priscilla?
Okay, here we go. I thought about this question and I think I told Byrd in one of Byrd's open counseling, I think I ran in with like tears of joy as I was telling Byrd. So one of the goals of me coming to MI was also that I wanted to learn an instrument, and then especially piano or keyboard, because I felt like, geez, like I need to know more than one instrument, which is just my voice, right? I need to read music, and that's one thing. But I want to know music so much better. I need to learn another instrument. So as I saw that at Q3 in AA program, and 4, we have keyboard classes. So I was so happy. I was like, yes, this is my time. So I would take the keyboard classes and go to all the keyboard open counselings and ask help with some of the keyboard students. And as the LPW that Byrd was mentioning, you can sign up as in your major if you're in vocal program, and you can sign up as a vocalist. But sometimes there are other spaces open. If you're there, you study the song well enough, you could also ask the instructor, can I please play the keyboard? If some other students are singing. So I really took that opportunity. So to all the LPWs, I would be looking out at whether there will be a keyboard student that's not coming. And I was like, can I play? And of course I need to study a song first. So one of my most amazing experiences at the country LPW, and there was I think all the vocalists have done their songs, their takes already. And I was there playing keyboard, and the instructor asked me, you're in a vocal program and now you're playing keyboard. Why don't you sing and play at the same time? I'm like, at the same time? Is that possible? And I said, I can try, but I've never even practiced before. And then I look at the other faculties on stage. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna play with faculty band. That really is crazy. So I did that, and I mean, like, it wasn't perfect, but it was such a joy, because that was just like one of my dreams come true. I really wanted to play and sing at the same time on stage with an awesome band, like the faculty band. So I literally ran into Byrd's open counseling with tears of joy. I'm like, yes! So that's one of the most impressive experience. And then there's another one I remember. We had a student that I mean, the first time I heard her sing, I just dropped my jaw. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so good. Like, I just like what Byrd said, it's so beautiful. And I think eventually she became a very well-known country singer. So, but being able to have the process of being a classmate with her, that was so cool. It just to watch how somebody can share their creativity with you, can share their love and passion of music for you. It's awesome to get to know that person. Later on, you see them on TV, you're like, that was my classmate. It's just so cool. It's very, very cool. Really, really fun experience.
Okay, thank you. So the next question for Byrd is, this question comes from some Chinese study abroad agencies. So they would like to know what kind of student you would like to meet in the live audition or or how can I say to what kind of student is your favorite student and you want to recruit to MI?
I think my favorite, the kind of student I'd like to meet is the student who wants to learn. They have a heart for the willingness to learn and be better, because we've all got what I call vocal gaps, music gaps. We've got music gaps. Like Priscilla said, she didn't know how to read music, and it also allows you to get better at what you know. I think that's the kind of student I like to meet, as opposed to the student who's like, well, I sort of think I want to be here. And no, you have to bring not only your talent, but you must bring your heart, your drive, your diligence, your passion, your questions. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to be willing to come to class, make mistakes, get up and keep going, because we're all there to learn. And that's the kind of student I would like to meet at an audition, is the one who is ready to learn and ready to be present at all the classes, to show up, and I know life can get in the way. Life can get in the way, whether it's a job or whether it's some students have children, some students have parents they take care of, or whatever it may be. But just be ready for an experience that's going to move you closer toward your musicianship goals. And fasten your seatbelt and hold on for the ride.
Thank you.
It's the kind of student I like to meet in an audition. And what was the second question?
Sorry, just the same one. So just about, thank you. So the next question is for Priscilla. So this question comes from some of the new applicants or some of the freshmen. So they want to know, how should they choose their private lesson before or after the enrollment?
Oh, cool. I think the private lessons are I think what everyone was a little bit concerned because as a freshman going into a college, you're just meeting teachers for the first time, right? So I think the first one I would suggest is ask around. Like, be really open as students, as teachers, go to open counseling, ask around. I think sometimes maybe students want to meet and study with instructors of their own strength, right? Rock and roll, or metal, or blues, or R&B. But I also would really recommend just go to the LPW to listen to the instructor, because some of them are teaching the LPW, and the first, I believe it's the first take of every hour, say it's a 6 to 8 p.m. LPW. You should be there at 6 p.m. on the spot to listen to the faculty band. And sometimes when you listen to the performances, and maybe you can sit down and when they have a break and talk to them and say, hey, I really love your performance. I want to study with you private lessons. And in this way, you can get to know them a lot better, and seeing their performance right in front of you, you'll be like, wow. A lot of times I have a hard time choosing because I love all the performances. I'm like, who should I choose? I have so many to choose from this quarter. So that's another one I would suggest. And third, I would suggest don't stay in your comfort zone. And so for me personally, I had a bass instructor as my private lesson for 2 quarters. The reason was that he was amazing. Like he could harmonize music like vocally like no other as he was playing bass. And he taught me so much about songwriting and arrangement and also harmony than anything else. So I really learned a lot from that teacher those 2 quarters. So I stayed with him for 2 quarters because I also had vocal ensemble classes as I was studying with him. So I think also, don't stay in comfort zone. You can really expand yourself. And I think MI does provide a first 2 weeks. If you pick your classes, you can also switch and then change classes if there's any concern that's going on with you, or you're interested in another teacher or another course. So that's a really good policy, because after 2 weeks, I think you should make up your mind and just sail on with the teacher. Yeah, so that's some of my suggestions.
Thank you. So the next question is still come from the new freshmen. So they want to know, do they have the opportunities to set up their own band, and how many live performances they could play at each quarter or each year?
Going back to something Priscilla said about the LPWs, in those LPWs, in addition to hearing the instructor sing, and you can make a choice, you are also in that live performance workshop with other students who are in other programs that you may not even encounter, except in an LPW, or maybe in a harmony and theory class, or maybe an ear training class. And you can create your band, and you can have band rehearsal when we open. You can have band rehearsal on campus after hours. You can sign up, have a rehearsal room, and you and your band can go in and practice. Priscilla, have you ever put together a band?
At MI, yes, with the students, yes. There are so many opportunities. I think it's hard not to put together a band.
And we want you to. We want you to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. And how the question is how many live performances they can play. They can play for the live performance class.
Mm-hmm.
They can do 10 a quarter. So that's like one a week, one or more. Like Priscilla said, she did 10 in 1 week. Yeah, you can double up and triple up. You can have if you're on campus and let's say your class may end at 1, you may want to go to a 2 o'clock LPW. Then there might be a 6 o'clock LPW. Then you can go to the 6 o'clock. And making sure that you know those songs that are assigned for that live performance.
So they got the opportunity to have as many as they want, if they can, or if they want. If they just get into the room, they can have. That's great. Okay, so let's go to the next question. It's also from some of the freshmen. So could the student minor in another instrument or major at MI?
Yes, you can be in the vocal program, and you can also do audio engineering.
Mm-hmm.
As a minor, you can do guitar, you can do any of them. You can do IAP, you can do music business, because there are a lot of people who want to be managers and they want to learn about music publishing. You write a song and it's like, okay, so how do I get paid? I wrote this song and Beyonce loves my song. How do I get paid? You need to learn how to do that so that you can sleep well at night.
Thank you. So yeah, let's take a move forward. So next one is what kind of the internship and job opportunities where MI can provide for the current student and the graduates? Byrd.
Have you done an internship, Priscilla?
I applied for that. I actually went through. So the whole process is that it can be used as I think one of the elective credit. So that's one of the class that I applied for. So what MI provides, there's a career center, and you're assigned to a person who's very specialized in helping you to just form your resume. That was such a big progress for me because I've done some stuff before, but it was kind of like my resume wasn't neat enough. I feel like wasn't looking professional enough. So that was one big thing that we set together for hours just to be able to put together a nicely done resume. And then I did apply, but afterwards there was some conflict with my classes, so I couldn't make it to that internship. But then I did go through the process of that, and it was great. It was just really great, and I heard so many amazing stories about how audio engineering student or vocal student or music business student could intern at some of the names and companies. They're like, wow, this is what we are going. It's like a dream to them, and they get they after they've been there, they got so much like just real world experience that they've never even thought of outside of classroom. So that's what I've heard of. And also I always love going to the career mentoring OC because that's what you could actually ask. I remember one time I asked a mentor that I really wanted to build a website for myself for vocal coach. So I wanted to I put all my singing styles in one website. How do I do that? And she was so helpful in showing me and getting connect with me and giving me emails and numbers of different really excellent vocal teachers in LA, and they say, oh, they have this gathering here and you can attend and you can get to know them. So it was really helpful in finding in how to plan your career after you graduate from MI.
Okay. I know of students who've been interns in recording studios. They can intern at management companies. It just depends on where you would like to have your focus. And if the opportunity presents itself, then you're ready to move forward and into an internship. Yes, we do offer different kinds of internships. And from that, people get jobs from being in the right place at the right time, and it works out for them. So yeah, we don't just say, oh, here's a job, go over here and interview. We don't do that. But you can work your way through an internship to a great job opportunity. And you can also, going back to the audition process, if you need help auditioning for an opportunity, we give you help with that as well. And I'm very proud to say that I do that. And I love working with people and helping them audition.
Thank you.
And it's because I guess it's because I've done it so many times myself, and we call it being on both sides of the table. I've been the person looking for the job as an auditioner, and I've also been the person hiring. So I know both sides, both aspects of what's required of you in these different types of job opportunity situations.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. So next question is out of the academic stuff. So how do you feel about living in LA? Because some of the Chinese, especially the Chinese parents, maybe some that fear about maybe the US is not safe as Asia countries or something like that, or in the when Donald Trump is the president, so there are a lot of stuff come out in the cities. So how do you feel about living in LA? Byrd? I mean, the neighborhood or anything, the food, the neighborhood, anything.
No, let me address that. I think it's one of the black marks on America's history is the racial aspect and how hard it is for people who are not born of European birth. And it doesn't matter all across the board, doesn't matter what country you're from. It's just a black stain on American history because of the history of racial injustice, systematic racism to keep a people, it be any people, squashed down, whether it's through the banking system, whether it's through the mortgage system, whether it's through, it's just shameful. That's America's shame. The sadness of the newness of it being pointed to the AAPI community is just appalling. And I've had students say to me, of course, they've never experienced racism because there's not so much racial diversity in an Asian country. And this is supposed to be a melting pot, and the melt is not going well for a lot of Caucasian descent, and they are not happy about it. And it's disgusting. So having said all that, and you already know that, there's cause for concern because human beings are crazy. And I call it man's inhumanity to man. It's like, how dare you treat someone else like that? And I've had it for I grew up in it, of course, with my nationality. I've grown up in it. My grandparents grew up in it. And just little tiny things like my grandparents were not allowed to stay in a hotel, ever. They were not allowed. I remember being a child and we tried to go to McDonald's to eat, and they would not serve us just because of the color of our skin. That's McDonald's. So it wasn't that long ago. I think we have to be very cautious. You can't get too comfortable. You have to keep your eyes open, your antenna open, to keep yourself safe. Priscilla and I are very spiritual women. And I believe in surrounding myself in God's protection. When I was traveling, I would surround my luggage in God's protection. When I'm away from home, I'd surround my home while I'm away from it so that it would be invisible to those that mean me harm. Everything. So I like to work on what I call the unseen plane because it's bigger than who we are. in the meantime, I'm also being very vigilant and watching my back. I had this, since the last president was in office, I went with Rachel. I accompanied her to Korea. Wonderful time. Just great. We went to Shanghai and in China, and we came back through Seoul, and it was a great time spending time with the students there and having auditions. I get to LAX, instant racial incident while I'm standing at the airport after I had been traveling for 36 hours. And I was like, really? Really? So you have to learn to keep your wits about you. And as that racial incident was happening to me in that moment at LAX 3 years ago, the dialogue that was going on in my head was, okay, Byrd, do you want to say something and be on the 6 o'clock news? Because I would. Because you're so incensed that another human being would treat you that way. It's remarkable. So because this newness is happening to the AAPI community, you have to be vigilant. Having dealt with generational racism, you really have to learn to be vigilant, and you have to educate yourself in terms of what's friendly and what is not. Mm-hmm. And learning it's okay to walk away. You have to acquire that, as opposed to your knee-jerk reaction is like, I would really like to grab them by the throat. You have to learn, and it's hard to do. And that's why Martin Luther King is such a big deal. Martin Luther King used passive resistance by not fighting back, by resisting, because these people are so wrong. Now, I've said a lot about it, and I could go on and on about it, but I won't. I would like to throw that to Priscilla. Mm-hmm. Have you run into any kind of racism around yourself or someone that you know in LA?
Wow, that's a big question. Thank you for sharing that. I think over the past year, what Tank was asking the question, I think it's really legit for a lot of parents to think, well, if I send my baby daughter or son over to a country where every day in the news, we open the newspaper and we see all these racism or gunshot, like it's a safe, even if it's worth really sending you over to worry about their safety. Yes. So I live in Hong Kong and Taiwan all by myself for a long time, and my mom was here in LA. So I do feel like she will always call me and say, oh wow, like I just saw some news there, oh my god, you okay? Even though that was far away from me, but of course her heart for me, her love with me was there. So I think this question, it's really important too. So thank you for asking that. And thank you, Byrd, for sharing that with me. As I actually grew up in LA, but then I also went back to Asia to work, and then coming back here for MI and then for my job afterwards. I personally, very, very thankful, thank God for that I haven't personally experienced what Byrd had mentioned before, verbally or physically, about racism, but I definitely have relatives or friends who had that experience. Especially you hear about not just female, like some people might say minority and female, but even in sports. One of my really close friends, he plays sports, and he said that even that, like at sports, they would look down at an Asian man who's playing sports. So, oh, you're not strong enough, you're weak, like just to make fun of you and get in a fight with you. So all these things, or even in the music industry, they might say, oh, you're not as good as this and that, or, there's a lot of work verbally and physically that might happen. So I think what Byrd really gave a very good advice is really to protect yourself and know how to say no, walk away. It's not a good time to just build your anger if someone says something to you and you're all by yourself. So that's common sense. Don't walk into a fight, or don't think you're the hero. It's always good to look after yourself and others. I think to be able to look after others is a good thing. That's why you have this group of students coming from all over the world, right? And being able to culturally diverse and know other people's culture and respect them. So that's a really good way to also educate yourself on other nationality or race other than your own. Because as I am Chinese, I think I'm in my childhood, my mom will always tell me to stay with your own kind. But as I grow older, I'm like, I don't want to. I want to learn. That's the only way for me to respect others, by learning and talking to them. I'm not being afraid or having that stereotype in front of me. So I think it's a really it is a concern, but I think using common sense and protect yourself and being able to respect others will be able to okay. And plus God's protection is all around us.
Okay, thank you. But also how about the neighbors around the MI, the campus? How do you feel about that? Maybe some parents also care about this one. How about the neighbors? I mean, yeah. Maybe they just fear about because we know. I mean, it's not everywhere is not safe in the U.S. Just literally some the small town or some place, some neighbor. But how about from your side? How about the neighbors around MI, around the campus? How do you feel living around the Hollywood or around the MI campus?
I would like to address that. I lived in New York for many years, and when I decided to move from New York to come to Los Angeles, I moved to Hollywood. I moved a few blocks down from MI, not to go to MI, but I moved there because the energy was like New York. It's bustling. There's always people out. There are always people out on the street. There's shows around, and I really flourished in that energy because it reminded me of being in New York City. It's the only area in Los Angeles that will remind you of New York City because of the culture. There's so much culture. The movies, the theater, Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Dolby Theater, where they do the Oscars and they do these. It's like being near Lincoln Center in New York, and over the hill there's Universal Studios. So I felt very at home there, but that's also because I felt safe in New York because I learned how to take care of myself. I'm going to give you this small example. When I moved to New York from a small Ohio town, a friend of mine said, if you're ever walking down the street and people are coming towards you and you're fearful, there may be a gang of kids, a gang of men, a gang of whoever it may be. The advice that I was given was golden. The advice was, act crazy. It's acting 101. So I was coming home from a late night rehearsal in New York, and a gang of guys were coming down the street. It was like very late at night, and I was by myself. And I need everyone in this room to know that that fear thing went in me, and oh man. And instead of crossing the street, I looked around me and there was a garbage can. I went to the garbage can and I opened the lid and went la 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 and looked at it, and I did my crazy woman acting 101 routine. Now, the way those guys, that gang of guys responded, they crossed the street because they didn't know what the crazy lady was going to do. I used it again with a gang of kids, like junior high school kids. I was in the subway in New York, and these kids were taking up the whole subway. You couldn't walk past them. And I did the same thing. I looked around and I just kind of stood, looked at the ceiling, and just went into this weird singing la 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 craziness. And those kids parted the waters. It was like Moses parting the Red Sea. Those kids got out of my way. Oh, that lady's crazy. Oh. Now, I'm passing that on to students and parents. It works every time because people don't know what you're going to do when you're crazy.
It's so tricky.
It's acting 101. It worked for me every single time, me navigating a big city by myself. So that's what I want to pass on to singers. It's acting 101. And to musicians, and especially women, because anything can happen. But if they think that you're nuts, they will leave you alone. That's my word of wisdom and how to feel safe when if you're walking down the street and you feel like you're in a threatening situation. It works every single time. And own it. Own that crazy person moment.
Okay.
You know, chew your hair, do what you need to do. So.
Thank you. This is so great, so helpful.
So cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's go for the next question. The last one is, what would I have to say to the young musicians or students? Byrd.
What do I say to
or do you have any suggestion for them, for young people, for young students and musicians?
I think the thing that I would say to them is make sure that you love your decision. You love your choice of being a musician because the highs are so amazingly high, but the lows are so amazingly low. In terms of finding gigs, finding a place to live, making sure that you can maintain yourself. It's like, how long can you couch surf? And it becomes, let your love of what you're doing take over you so that you keep doing it no matter how many times you get knocked down or told no. And the thing about this business is you have to see, this business will teach you how well you can take a punch because you're told no so many times for so many different reasons you don't even know. You want this job, okay, you didn't get it. Somebody else got it. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's not the time to quit. It's like, oh, I'm give it up. And it takes a lot of courage, stamina, desire, passion. All of these things will help you to maintain the fact that this is a choice you've made. And then there are some choices where it's like, okay, I give up. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to not pursue it anymore. I'm going to, get married, raise a family, or whatever it may be, or you're trying to do it through it. But it's a very hard choice to make, being a musician, a working musician, because there's always not a lot of work. As we know by the pandemic, everything shut down. You can't tour. Then you have to get inventive. It's like, oh, well, let me do something online. Let me create more videos. You have to figure out, how can I maneuver through these waters no matter what happens? And that really will show you what you're made of as a musician from those choices. It's like, okay, I can do this. It's kicking my behind, but I can do this. I think that's the advice I would give, is you better love it, because there are so many times when it's not lovable.
Thank you. How about you, Priscilla, as a big sister?
Yeah, as I was listening to Byrd, I'm like, yes, just nodding my head. I think what I would say to myself, and also to the student who want to come to MI, or students here in MI, it's that I don't think any opportunity is too small. To never. So as a singer, I think we always have this. Can we say ego? Like you just feel like you sing better than anyone else, and then you're better than anyone else in the room until someone else is really better than you, and then you go like, oops, and you just want to give up. So like Byrd said, you want to give up a million times, and there's only one Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars. There's only one that superstar out there. So if you don't love it enough, love it in all aspects of it, including the difficulties and the greatness, or the bright circle that you have, or the love or the starry eyes that you have when you're on stage, right? Loving that, but also loving the difficulties that you're gonna be put through. And also a lot of people are gonna say no to you. So if you don't love it enough, you will really want to give up. But also this is a great kind of like a test to see how far can you go. You say you love music, how far can you go? This is a real test right here. And if you can really make it, you can really make it then. So I also want to say, it's always stay humble. Just like I mentioned, when you go into a room, never think you're the best, and always have an open heart to learn from the other people. And that's what I got from MI. It's always to stay humble and being respectful and learn from others. And that really takes me through my career as a musician to go through any situation, recording session or concert or backstage, or even learning or watching people how to tie cable or, audio engineering, the panel. Always be ready to learn, and that will put yourself into a more respected singer.
I want to quote Priscilla again. No job is too small. That statement she made is huge, because I've worked with people and they'll say, oh, I was offered a job and I didn't take it. I'm like, why didn't you take it? Because it wasn't the lead role. I'm like, are you insane? No. Even if you're dressing cable, just like Priscilla said, if you're just holding a script, if you're going to get coffee, no job is too small, because you've got your foot in the door and you will learn from that. Do not let your ego get you in trouble, because I've seen it happen to a lot of people. It's like you have to be willing to learn from the bottom up. Just like with any business, you learn from the bottom up and observe and understand how the game is played, because it is a game. No matter what the job is, learning how you communicate with each other, learning when to keep your mouth closed and learn, and also when to be able to speak up and make a valuable suggestion. All of these things are very needed and necessary for your growth. So run with that. No job is too small. Just say yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, ladies, I think it's time. I just took too much time from you guys. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for your time, and for supporting my event here. And thank you for all of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having us.